Hi, my name's John Souza. I work for the Salvation Army in Akron at the Akron Citadel. I'm an associate pastor. And you probably wonder why we're standing here at these railroad tracks. Well, this place has a very special meaning to me because I had a real unique experience here. I think that was God ordained. Back in May of 2010, I was at the Adult Rehabilitation Center in Akron where I do ministry every Thursday night. And a man came up to me and said that he heard that I and my friends, we go out to the streets and go out and minister to homeless people, which is what we do. You know, William Booth said, go and do something. When his son Bramwell asked him about doing homeless ministry, William said, go and do something. So we just adopted that motto and we just went out to the streets to do something. And he asked me to go look for a friend of his named Clyde. He said, Clyde is a guy who's a great guy, but he's involved in alcohol. In fact, this had become Clyde's best friend. And Clyde was actually living under a bridge, so I was told. So it happens the next night, my team and I, we went out to the streets to do ministry, and we happened to come down to the railroad tracks right close to here. I decided to just kind of cut up into the woods to see what was up there. And as I went up there, I looked down the hill, and this other set of tracks, there were 4 guys sitting on the middle of the tracks consuming alcohol.
I was homeless, and I was living on the street, and I'm an alcoholic, and I was panhandling and living in a tent on the railroad tracks here in Akron. And lo and behold, one day I had made about $30 and went to get my usual Johnny Cash breakfast, which was a few 24 ounces, which led to even more alcohol. And I had passed out on some railroad tracks. And I awoke to somebody yelling, "Hey buddy, are you all right?"
And I announced myself. I said, "Hey, I'm with the Salvation Army. Are you guys hungry?" And they said, "Yeah." And also we heard this whistle of the train. And the guy started scrambling to get off the tracks except for the one guy. He was overweight and he was so drunk he was just sitting on the tracks and he's trying to gather his beer because that was his only prized possession. And the train was getting closer and closer. The horn was getting louder and louder. And I'm yelling, "Get him off the tracks, get him off the tracks." And his friends finally got him and pulled the guy off the tracks. And about 2 to 3 seconds later, the train came by, just missing killing this man. So I went down there and I introduced myself to the guys. I said, "Hi, I'm John, Salvation Army." And the one guy who had been laying on the tracks, very drunk, said, "Hi, my name's Clyde." And that was the very guy I was asked to look for.
From then on, he kept coming around the campsite and praying with us. And every time he'd see me out holding my little sign, he'd go, "Clyde, I'm going to get you in the ARC. I'm going to get you in the ARC." And
so we'd come down there every week. One time I brought a pizza. We'd always bring hot dogs. We'd bring, Bibles and hygiene items, underwear, socks, shampoo, whatever we can come with. And we'd sit out there with Clyde and his friends, and we'd minister to them, and they'd cry, and they'd actually sing gospel songs with us and pray with us. And we just started to build a friendship with Clyde.
I went into Salvation Army, and from there, first month was pretty scary. It was just being around people and not relying on alcohol, and started praying.
When we first met him, he looked like what other people would think was just a drunken bum on the railroad tracks, but he was a human soul. And God loves him, and God calls us to go out and love them. In fact, John Wesley said, "Don't go to those who need you, but go to those who need you most." And people like Clyde and his friends were some of the people that needed us the most.
Any kind of Bible study, I would get involved with it and come to the Bible study. And even though I wasn't writing it down, I was taking it in. And to this day, I apply it, which is a beautiful thing.
And now Clyde plays guitar in our worship band. Clyde has a full-time job at the Harley-Davidson shop. He now has a girlfriend.
For the people going through it right now, have faith. Don't hold it in. Don't hold it in. Tell somebody. Holding things in like that, it's so destructive. And have faith and pray and pray. Seek help. Help's out there. You have to ask.
I know sometimes doing ministry and doing the ministry of giving what the Salvation Army does so well, I know sometimes you might not feel like we see the fruit of it, and we do a lot of giving here. We don't always see the fruit of it, but every once in a while you see a unique story like this take place, and it just keeps you going out there.
People like John. I will dance before your throne of grace.